Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host Ahmed Nawaz with the latest roundup of sports today. Let's take a look at what we're discussing. It was the FIFA World Cup qualifier match between Pakistan and Tajikistan, but it was completely one-sided. Tajikistan managing to beat Pakistan at home by a score of 6-1, and even the Pakistan team's head coach Constantine also in a press conference has just mentioned that the Pakistan team did not play quality football. So I think it is very disappointing. Of course, it is on a positive side. We see football at home and we see a lot of fans coming out in large numbers at the Jinnah Stadium to support their team. So obviously there is a structure that is developing, but then again results often matter, but they were completely outclassed. Before that, the game against Saudi Arabia in Riyadh, I thought that was a bit competitive. Pakistan did well until the first half, but in the second half they were completely, I think, outnumbered. That style now of teams, what we call the tiki taka, or keeping possession, these teams are now dominating Pakistan. So why are we not shifting to that long ball strategy is something that tactically how we can improve, and obviously it's going to take some time. You got to give it to these boys as well. They've not been around forever, and the structure of football in Pakistan is now just coming to the limelight after a lot of hard work behind the scenes. So we'll discuss that. Then we move on to Pakistan's squad that has been announced for the series against Australia. We'll particularly discuss this test squad and all the inclusions and exclusions. Then we'll move on to the Pakistan Cricket Board, where the coaches is the talk of the town as well. When you talk about this team management, there were particular changes that happened right after the World Cup, so we're going to be discussing them in detail as well. And then of course we move on to women's cricket, where the Pakistan women's cricket team's camp is underway as well. Of course they're also in preparation for their upcoming events as well. So we'll talk all about this in the show. Time now to introduce our guests. First of all, in studios we have been joined by sports expert Ali Mehdi. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, Ali?
Walaikum salam. I'm very well.
We've also been joined by a first-class cricketer, a cricket expert and sports analyst Kashif Majid, who joins us. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, sir?
Walaikum salam. Thank you, Ahmed.
Great to have you as well, sir. Now, tactically, Ali Mehdi, we can go on and discuss it. But obviously, like I said, that you got to give it to these boys. The structure still is in the development stage. But then again, surely it was a one-sided game.
Look, it was a one-sided game, and we did expect that we were going to give a tough matchup against Tajikistan. After all, we did extremely well last week against Saudi Arabia, where we actually, against the team which actually beat the world champions Argentina, we actually suffered a 4-0 loss. But this match, actually, the problem with this match is we got off to a really bad start. There was a lot expected. The crowd was, packed to the rafters. There was so much. It was a very boisterous crowd over there, and I thought that in the first 5 minutes, Pakistan, did try to actually get a bit of the ball, but the problem was that, playing against a quality team, the 103rd ranked team in the world in the form of Tajikistan, who's been absolutely brilliant. They've actually just drew with Russia a few months ago in the qualifiers, and then at the same time in a friendly too, and then against Singapore and Malaysia lost 2-0 each. So, we knew that we were up against formidable opponents, and that's exactly what they did. They were an absolute masterclass, playing through the middle, finding those inner channels, and then, testing our keeper. I thought that, defensively we were a bit poor today, but then again, we shouldn't be too harsh, because at the end of the day, this was our first game in the second round of qualifiers, and I thought that, the fact that we were able to embrace the occasion with a lot of crowd and, was absolutely fabulous, and we've scored our first goal ever in a second round of the World Cup qualifiers, so I think it's been brilliant.
Well, Ali Mehdi, the fact is that Pakistanis are going out to, turn out in large numbers to the stadiums and support Pakistani team in whatever sports domain that they're playing, cricket, football, any other sports. There is a general buzz around, and obviously with the youth a lot more involved with football, we get a lot of fan following for this Pakistani team, and I think the social media angle or the media angle is something where the Pakistan Football Federation should improve and can improve, because that connection eventually between the players and the fans is something that will give them a next edge as well. But all of this is part and parcel of the Pakistan Football Federation and whatever's been happening. Now we discuss it tactically, what's the way forward, because these boys have been playing football, but in probably different parts of the country, in different isolated conditions, How do you get a team together?
Look, the first important thing is that, in a small period of time, Constantine has done a brilliant job actually ever since he's come. He's actually very, very close to these boys. He's actually gathered, these boys to his, these players come from all around the world. They play from different leagues in the world, in Cyprus, Turkey, lower leagues too, and then at the same time, through Pakistan. But the most important thing is that he's got them as a unit too. I think going forward, what is very important is that, the next round of qualifiers will be in March. And before then, he has some while to plan, to see. I think the most important thing is to get the infrastructure right. I know it's a short period of time, but probably work on the pitch over here for the home games too. At the same time, you can do something with the lights, but also at the same time too, give these boys confidence. And then at the same time, I think what he's done over a short period of time has been nothing but miraculous. But at the same time, on the other front too, from the operational management point of view, I think that the Pakistan Football Federation has been promoting football. There's a new buzz. We didn't even know that a team existed. I'm sure our ranking is going to go above 193rd. But at the same time, I think what's very, very important is that you need to promote this on all levels too. Whilst there are other sports like cricket and other sports which are very well promoted, I think Harun Malik, the CEO, has doing a good job too. But there's a lot way forward, and you have to start that by the basic grassroots and the infrastructure.
Can domestic tournaments help in scouting players?
I think so. Why not? I mean, you can see that. You can see in the south of in Karachi, and then obviously in Lyari, and places in Lower Balochistan. You have a lot of players who are actually prospering, a lot of talent over there. I think the most important thing is the domestic tournaments too. Domestic tournaments, it has to be promoted. It has to be promoted social media. Television coverage is also very important. But at the same time, it's very, very important that PFF gets actively involved. It's not only the national team, but it's the domestic circuit too, and more number of leagues and more number of domestic matches too, and where PFF is itself is involved, will make a huge difference.
Certainly, Ali Mehdi, I think you've pointed a lot of factors that will improve Pakistan football in the future, and obviously, with Ali's grip on football, he understands that we don't expect our team to be Brazil overnight, probably, but then again, we can follow certain simple steps that will help these players to grow in the near future as well. That being said, now we focus on cricket. And in cricket, Pakistan's test squad is the talk of the town, being led by Shan Masood. This test squad is going to go to Australia to play a 3-match test series. What's interesting in there have been a couple of new inclusions, especially Khurram Shahzad and Saim Ayub are being talked about a lot. So we will be discussing all of this in detail. First of all, Kashif, how do you see the overall squad that has been announced? These were a bit troubled times for the PCB, but then again, they're trying to find some stability.
I'm not sure about Australia's tour. Is it always the internship period for a captain to visit Australia first, the probation period?
And abuse.
And yes, of course. Because I remember last time Azhar Ali was the captain, and the fast bowler Musa Khan and everybody else was getting debut in Australia, and David Warner was having a good time out there. So I'm not sure why, because it's Australia, it's always the toughest tour, and we have a history of large number of defeats out there. Last time we won a single test match, that was in '95, although we've been playing quality cricket in South Africa, in England, in all parts of the world, but not just Australia. So let's hope for a miracle, because when we talk about this team, we have got some potentially very good candidates for the future, potentially very good players for the future. But right now, I'm not sure about my bowling. Yes, the batting department, it always excelled. It always means we always have got positive vibes coming from the batsmen, but not the bowlers. Last time, it was David Warner show, it was Clark, it was Smith show, and everybody else in the batting is chipping in. Marnus Labuschagne has a quality time against us last time around. But the bowlers, I do feel for them. It's not easy bowling in Australia conditions with the red cherry, the Kokobur in their hand, and we are not used to it.
But you mentioned a very important point, because obviously whenever the team goes to Australia, there is so much talk about batting and how they're going to struggle, and the quality of the pitches, the bounce, the pace. I think people don't tend to focus more on how the bowlers are going to find it tough. How do we technically analyze this for a fast bowler who is going to Australia? His length has got to be a bit changed. He needs to know his seam position, what to do, how to utilize the pitches there.
Before even moving to Australia, everybody, every person in the country start thinking it will be bounce, it will be pace. and long gone are the days when we used to see those Vaca tracks, those Perth pitches. We used to say to each other whenever we are bowling good in the nets or in the even in our streets, playing in our own backyards. Oh, this is Perth wicket. But long gone are those days, because now we've seen bulk of runs getting in Australia, because we've seen Ashes down there. We've seen Alistair Cook scoring 700 plus run in one Ashes there. So most probably our bowling, if you talk about the tactical aspect of that bowling, the grounds are very soft. The run up of the bowlers, they're very soft. So every now and then we see an shin injury, hamstring injury, or thigh injury, because we are not used to bowling on those soft and sandy tracks. Sandy means it's very soft, so bowlers, the spikes go into the ground deep, and it's hard running out there. So fast bowlers get a lot of bulk of physical effort to do there. Second important thing, when we talk about our bowling, we are not used to of bowling in the good channels. We always talk about our reverse swing or the new ball swing, but long channels, long spells in a constant channels, we are not used to it. For the last 20 years, I can say, we are more into one day and T20 stuff, and not the first class and the test match bowler. So this is where I think we are lacking. And even with this bowling lineup, I haven't found a single fast bowler who have bowled around 20 to 30 overs in a day.
Ali Mehdi, these are some very critical points, but then again, I think the weightage of this series is also that we obviously gauge as part of the ICC World Test Championship and everything going on. Things changed for Test cricket, so there was a lot more importance when it came to not just winning, but making sure you don't lose critical points there as well.
Yeah, I think Pakistan have gotten off to a great start, going and winning 2-0 in Sri Lanka. It's given us that sort of impetus we need, excellent platform going forward. But now you have to go to the Lions' Den, the real fortress, and that is Australia, where very few teams have won. And normally when teams go over there, they get absolutely whitewashed or destroyed. So Pakistan, it's going to be a very intimidating tour against the newly crowned world champions too. And you're playing at three very, very difficult stadiums, with the first one, which has most recently been renamed as the West Test, which is the test in Perth, which will be at Optus Stadium, which will now be called the West Test, and then after that going to Melbourne and Sydney. So it's going to be a very tricky tour for Pakistan. And most important thing is that we only are playing with, they're going to be playing there in about 3 weeks time. So there's not much time. I hope all these Shan Masood and everything is sorted out very quickly in terms of the team management, who's going to be exactly a head coach. That isn't also very clear. So, these are going to be very, very tricky times too. And I don't know what's actually going forward, what's going to be the strategy about this, because it's a very intimidating tour. Listen, can you believe we've only won 2 test matches ever in Australia, last coming in 1994. So it's, that is the one place where, once you go, when Pakistan goes, we generally don't perform well.
Certainly. Now, of course, let's talk about some of these inclusions, because right now, even the chief selector Wahab Riaz congratulated these 2 particular individuals. So, Kashif, we'll first talk about Khurram Shahzad and Saim Ayub.
Okay, Saim Ayub to start with, a modern sensation in white ball cricket, who have played excellent cricket in the finals of the Quaid-e-Azam Trophy, and that is it. When we talk about a batsman playing in Australia, we want a mature batsman who have scored at least 5,000-7,000 runs in domestic arena to go there and have a blast. But with Saim Ayub, there is one thing which we can actually think, I can think that can be a surprise package. It is his courage to play his shots. Yeah. That can be a good factor if he gets the chance to play in the first 11, because I'm not still sure which number he will be batting if he got selected. Because when we talk about our openers, most probably Abdullah Shafiq is the one. Next will be a question mark between maybe Imamul Haq or someone else. Then we have got at 3, I'll still be thinking for Saim Ayub because he can play his shots. At 4, it's Babar Azam, and then who will be our first choice wicket keeper? It's still a question mark. So with all these question marks comes Australia tour. So I'm being a cricketer. The last series in Sri Lanka, a lot has changed in the Pakistani dugout and the dressing room.
I think almost entirely, if you talk about the the structure of Pakistan cricket, it entirely changed.
Yeah, definitely, yes. And we talk about Mohammad Hafiz as the head coach, come team director, and all in all of the team. So it will be his first ever assignment,
And that to Australia.
and that to Australia. So I always think that Australia, apart from that 99 series, that is the quality series, and then we can talk about that 95, 94, 95 tour. But apart from that, always there will be we are in the transition phase of our cricket, and we are touring Australia.
Yeah,
So this is very actually difficult times for the Pakistani team. But let's hope the individual brilliance come at a quality time for us, or at a very pinpoint time for us, and we can come out as a team who can actually win at least one test out there. This is what I'm thinking.
Amir Jamal into the side as well. What is your overall analysis of this situation?
Look, Amir Jamal, Fahim Ashraf, everybody who's going there, they have to think in a way that it's a tour where if they can perform, they'll come out as a hero to the Pakistani cricket. And if they don't, it's just another day at the business. Because we haven't seen, best of our best haven't performed there. So let's hope this team come out with their individual brilliance, their skill set, and most importantly, their determination. Because every now and then, a newcomer going to Australia, it's always a chance that you can perform. It's a tricky task, But when we talk about batting, it's just going through my memory lane. I seen Yasir Shah scoring a century.
Yes.
So we can do wonders. Yes, as a
that's
cricket
true.
team, we can do wonders. But let's talk about our bowling. Maybe this is the weakest link over the decades of playing in Australia.
Ali Mehdi, all of these factors combined, there is another factor that the skipper that was previously the skipper is not the skipper, but he's now into the team as a batter, and probably, one of these videos of his is doing rounds on social media.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was brilliant. That was, a treat to watch. So that sound was music to our ears. But then again, what's the feeling going on? Well, just analyze, him playing in Australia with a completely free mindset, free from all the worries of captaincy.
I think he's going to have a brilliant series there. And the reason is because I actually saw him. He posted this caption the other day, back to the harness. And if you look over there, he's now completely focused on his batting. And now he's been given, he's given completely free charge to do whatever he wants. Look, we know he's probably the best batsman we've had in a couple of decades too now, especially in all formats. And he's going back to one of his favorite formats, that is Test cricket. Let's not forget, last time he actually played there at the Gabba, he actually got 100 over there. So, I think it's going to be brilliant for him. I think he's going to have a very good series. And the most important thing is now that he doesn't have any burden on his shoulders. I just felt he was so burdened over there that during the World Cup and over the past few years, that he hasn't fully been able to perform as a batsman too. Now that he's been let go of these reins as captaincy and all these skills, he can now focus on the batting.
But it becomes very important for him as well, Ali Mehdi, probably because Babar is a guy who really banks on that success. I mean, his self-analysis bar is very high, so he would probably himself want to prove a point, not to anyone else, but just to his own self.
Yeah, that he wants to prove it to himself that he is still one of the best batsmen over there. And look, ever since he's come back to Pakistan, he posted a couple of statements that he's obviously resigned from the captaincy in all three formats, and then he obviously congratulated Australia for being crowned as the new world champions. Other than that, what has he done? He's just posted on social media, and he's working very hard on his technique. So he's obviously very focused over here. And I do think that you've got a wounded lion over here who's actually going to come in full force in Australia, and whether it should be at Perth or at the at Optus Stadium or the MCG and SCG, he's going to perform very well, especially at that number 4 position. No more captaincy to worry about, no more that sort of rubbish to worry about, and not many journalists who are actually also poking him. I think he's going to in for a fabulous series here.
I just add to one.
Please, yes.
Tactical. Let's talk about the tactics. Babar likes the ball to come onto the bat.
Yeah.
He likes space.
Yeah.
The only thing we worry about Babar is his batsmanship or his craftsmanship against the spinners? There's always a question mark from the very start, because he started his test career in UAE, and we always thought that he is not that much of a player in the test arena. But ever since we moved from UAE to the Pakistan, to the Australia, to the South Africa, to the England, Babar has scored century everywhere. So one thing very important, that Babar, for me Shan Masood, and for me Rizwan, these three guys, they will be they'll be having a happy time out there, because I still remember that 95 from Rizwan. Last time around he was in Australia. It was a classic innings from Rizwan. That was actually the resurgence of Rizwan back into the Pakistani team, and he became the all three formats played. So these three guys are my go-to guys in this Australian tour when it comes to the batting. But again, my question remains the same. Who these three guys along with other three, that will be a question. Maybe Abdullah Shafiq is the fourth one in the starting lineup, and the rest two will be still looking. And when we talk about I was just calling him Professor Hafiz. It was just so.
I think right now is the right time to call him Professor Hafiz. It's the right time now.
I just think with Muhammad Hafiz out there in the dugout, I believe Pakistan will be playing an aggressive cricket. This is my belief actually, that will be playing aggressive cricket. Yes, it will be too much talk in the dressing room. There will be too much happening in the dressing room, because we know Hafiz, but simultaneously he has got that potential to ask their players to go and have a blast against the Australians. So most probably it will be a good series for the batsmen. For the bowlers, I think they have to work very hard.
Yeah, I agree.
I still believe it will be 500 for Australia and 400 for Pakistan, and then they're again posting 500, and we'll be talking about the saving the test match.
I mean, technically everybody, has this belief that you're going in Australia, your fast bowlers are going to eat everyone alive. That was Shoaib Akhtar. There was nobody else than Shoaib Akhtar doing that as far as the pace battery was concerned. You need a lot of skill and determination. You need to, I think, Kashif, the first thing that is missing, like you mentioned, and probably we have a chance now to develop this. I also like the fact that you can take a couple of youngsters with the team as well, so they can learn that work ethic environment if it is there. If it's not there, then it's just a normal tour. That, the key to bowling longer spells. Somebody should be working on this as well for Pakistan.
I guess we have to look into our domestic arena. We have to think, are we prepared enough? Because when we talk about bowling longer spells, the fast bowlers like to bowl some spells, or the medium sort of spells in the northern part of the country. I always talk about playing in Islamabad, Rawalpindi, KRL Stadium, Abbottabad with the greenish pitches, and the fast bowlers enjoy those fields. But when we talk about playing in the southern part of the country, Hyderabad for instance, for Karachi, that instance, UBL Sports Complex, National Stadium, or even starting from Lahore to the southern part of the country, it always the spinners taking on the bulk of the bowling. The point I want to try to make is, this is where our coaches need to insert some sort of statement to the fast bowlers, that if you want to be a fast bowler, you have to have the ability to take wickets in the southern part of the country. This is where your cricket and your fitness and your skill set will come into the action, because northern part of the country is the paradise for you. And for the spinners, it will be the opposite of the fast bowlers. They have to come up with some sort of skill set to bowl in the northern part of the country. So most probably Pakistan, if the system allows us to prosper, will become more of a country that will rely on our fast bowler and the genuine pace.
But I think it all boils down to the same concept of then what kind of pitches do we have in the Quaid Azam Trophy.
When we talk about the ideology of the cricket, I always wanted that Pakistan should create one. We are a nation who is who can rely on their spinners no matter what the conditions are. Or we are the nation who can rely on our fast bowlers in the longer format no matter what the conditions are. For the last 20 years, we always see a seesaw battle in our domestic arena. Sometimes we started thinking that we want to create an environment just like England. So let's have lush green pitches out there. And the batsmen started thinking that
Shivering. They started shivering. I've seen openers saying, no, I think I'll bat down the order. I'm not feeling well.
I don't want to, come up with the names.
Yes.
The big names who actually I've seen with my own naked eyes that they wanted. I'll bat at 7 today, and I'll go there and have a blast. Coachy, look, this is the plan. So So when we talk about those green pitches, the batsmen started thinking that 50 runs for an individual is a huge amount of runs. So what's created in our mind is 50 runs for a batsman in a test match is a amount of score that is so much.
50 kar lo.
And that 50 means you are capable enough to play the next match of the first class season.
Absolutely.
So going towards the south, the fast bowler says it's your track, because we have already taken 5-4 or 2-5 or 3-5 in the last couple of matches in the northern part of the country. So now it's up to the spinners, and spinners will say it's the batsman's paradise. So we haven't come up with a single ideology, because when we talk about our neighbors, no matter what the conditions are, no matter which team is visiting their shows, they always come up with one solution, because they are quality batsmen against the same. They have spin, they have quality spinners. So let's catch in the spins web.
I think that's another Pandora box that Kashif bhai just opened, Ali Mehdi. Then we talk about quality spinners. And I think our reliance completely is still on Mr. Nouman Ali, to do some magic for us. I like the fact that he can bat as well. But then again, just a one-dimensional spinner that we carry. We don't have probably no options that we're seeing right now on the domestic front.
No, I completely agreed. We don't have. I just feel that for this tournament, for the tour down to the tour to Australia over here, we don't have any spinners. You have Abrar over there and Nouman Ali, and Mr. Nouman. I wonder whether he's actually going to play in Australia too. So the problem over here is we haven't really promoted those spinners, those quality spinners, which was spoken about for the past few years too. Obviously, you have Sufyan Mukim, who's actually one for the future too. But other than that, you talk about quality spinners coming through the ranks. There aren't many over there, and this is the problem over there. To win in Australia, obviously you need 4 quality bowlers. You have 3 fast bowlers and 1 this all-rounder, but at the same time you need a quality spinner too. So unfortunately we don't have that. But the thing over here is that we need to work on our grassroots, and whichever players are actually coming through the domestic circuit should be from the Quaid-e-Azam. They have to be given a push right now, but otherwise you'll see that their confidence takes a dip too. Look, the fact of the matter is that now that Saeed Ajmal has actually been, he's part of the squad too. We need all our former spinners and players to actually promote this and then make tracks which are suitable to them.
Absolutely. I think the way things are in Pakistan, I would really like to take this moment and appreciate the role and the hard work put in by the fraternity of our sports journalists. Because trust me, they're probably one of the only reasons why the Quaid-e-Azam trophy is still kept alive. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be hearing about the names of certain players scoring some runs somewhere. And they even make up for most of the audience as well. These sports journalists that go out to various stadiums to watch this domestic cricket, talk about it, bring stories back and analysis and everything. Then a player does get a bit of limelight because of them. Otherwise, I think the investment going into the Quaid-e-Azam trophy is one thing, but is it in the right direction to at least, I won't use the word glamorize it, but I think at least make it popular enough so players playing in it have actually the advantage of, realizing that the world is watching. So I think that is something that can be really improved as far as this is concerned. But about the team management perspective, Kashif, obviously things are a bit different right now in the Pakistan Cricket Board. How do you think the team is going to react to it?
It's just not easy. From an outsider to a captain, Shan Masood's journey in just a couple of months, it cannot be absorbed so easily. He wasn't part of the team's first choice 11 or first 11 for that instance, and now he's the captain. And when we talk about Shan Masood's captaincy, we haven't seen him captaining apart from some part in the Habib Bank, and that is it. And we talk about that Habib Bank, it's I guess 5 years back when departments were playing cricket. So for the last 5 years, what Shan Masood was doing, and nobody knows. as a captain. So this is where it gets tricky. And again, the first assignment is Australia. So it's just not easy, because I'm not sure. We always talk about the transition of the Pakistan, but this transition never ends. We haven't seen the stability. The one transition led to the other transition. That is it. And now Shan Masood is the captain. We still think about his personality, that he can speak English well, that he's confident, that he has played in English conditions. That
Has that been not always been the criteria for a captain for Pakistan?
It is one of it. It is one, because with Babar Azam scoring bulk of runs, we started creating his personality, and from personality to a national hero. That Babar, King Babar, and that 56 number of his shirt, and all those things. Because Babar is a performer with the bat, and we as a nation and the cricket board primarily thought, let's create a hero, because we haven't seen a hero in our cricket till last was Shahid
I think even for Shan Masood, people would have judged him as a batter. You know, Shan didn't score this amount of runs. Now it's going to be, look at your skipper. You know, this is what he scored in the series.
And what if he fails? So what if this is my question, what if he fails? The added burden of the captaincy, plus not good amount of scores under his belt in the recent cricket, or the recent test cricket he has played for the Pakistan. So it's a chance Pakistan, it's a gamble Pakistan cricket board has took, and let's hope as a cricket fan and the Pakistani cricket fan that it pays.
Ali Mehdi, the role of the management right now, like I said, things are a bit different in the Pakistan cricket board. Whatever happens, we always expect some sort of stability into the team. I understand and I completely agree that sometimes to get a couple of new names into the Pakistan cricket board setup would obviously be a bit productive and fruitful. I think for far too long there have been stereotypical names either on one position or the other position. They've just changed their position, but they've still been involved in Pakistan cricket.
Yeah, this is a big problem for Pakistan, that you have the same names, stereotypical names for certain positions too. I think that needs to change too, and everybody has to come for merit. We were talking a little while ago about Shan Masood, and let me tell you something about Shan Masood. His father was my first boss ever, and he wanted Shan Masood to focus on his obviously on his cricket, but on his speaking skills too. I think actually for a matter, I'm just taking the discussion in a different direction, and that is because of his fluency skills and the way he can tackle the media. Because once they come to Australia, the media is just going to go completely after Shan, and they always cause the media over there and the journalists are really going to have a go at the Pakistan cricket team, and they're obviously going to be under the scanner, because for them, the Australians, the test series matters everything. I mean, you talk about the Ashes, but the home test series matters everything, other than the World Cup and everything like that. The Boxing Day test, should it be the Perth test or any test, for that means everything. So they are going to be the scanner. That's probably one of the main reasons that Shan Masood. But when it comes to the players who've been selected, you need to go over here on merit, and not the typical players who've been selected. Whoever's been performing on merit, whichever the team management think is the sufficient choice, they should go ahead with it. But one thing is for sure, it's going to be a very challenging series, like it always has been.
Absolutely. I think yes.
I don't want to be skeptical about it. But just like we have seen a non-playing captain in the Davis Cup normally, are we talking about a captain or a non-playing captain / media handling captain / English speaking captain
we have one
to represent Pakistan?
We have a non-playing captain. Mohammad Hafiz is a non-playing captain.
So this is where, because ever since Pakistan Cricket Board has announced the name of Shan Masood, nobody is talking about his cricketing skills.
That is true.
Please, just let me take back into the times when Shan Masood was handling Dale Steyn, Don Oliver in a very quality manner. The way he stroked his innings, his paced innings, the pull shots, I guess he scored 60 odd runs and 40 were the pull shots against Dale Steyn.
I was surprised that people are talking about his average when the guy has played just a handful of test matches.
Yes.
How much do you expect him to score in those test matches?
And those handful test matches are either in England or South Africa. So against majority are out from the Pakistan or from the subcontinent. So I still believe he has got the talent and the potential to be a good batsman. Starting, I still remember in one of the programs, Shahid Afridi categorically mentioned when asked that who is the most improved cricketer in the last couple of years, and he categorically mentioned that Shan Masood. He started his career when there was a lot of people talking about him to have him in the team to a place that now we talk about his quality batting. So he is the most improved batsman. And we have to focus on the skill set of the captain as a batsman too, because he can be a good player in those conditions. Because he has got a good cut shot and a pull shot. These are the two basic necessary items for a batsman in Australia.
Ali Mehdi, you agree?
No, I completely agree. And look, Shan Masood, I cannot forget his 140 or 150 hit against England in the series in 2020. I mean, when we went over there, and then after that, he went on a long series of not scoring any double-figure scores. I think Shan Masood has the talent over there. He's been doing very well, for county in England too. He's been phenomenal over there. But the fact is that he needs to translate this, Ahmed, into consistent scores for the national team. It's a world of a difference when you're playing for your domestic team in Pakistan or when you're playing county cricket. But when you come into the international arena, then you come against the big guns, when you come against the likes of Australia, England, and over there. And look, over there, it's going to be bouncy conditions over there. They're going to target the body too. It's very important that he handles the short ball very well, the cut shot, like Kashif Bhai mentioned, also the pull shot. But other than that, mentally, you have to be extremely strong over there because it's going to be hot conditions over there. It's going to be a ring of fire whenever they come over there, and Australia play very hard cricket over there too. So he not only will he have to obviously focus on the management and the captaincy, but on his batting, because if he leads the way for Pakistan, then the others will follow, and then you have other quality players like which you previously mentioned.
Well, we have a crowd favorite question now. Mr. Sabir Hussain, a regular feature of our program, has just sent out a question to Kashif. He wants to know what should be the playing 11 and whether Fahim Ashraf or Amir Jamal should be the first choice.
For Perth, I don't want to see any spinner, provided it's a Perth, because it's a change stadium now. It's not WACA we talk about in the 90s. It's a change. We have played one T20 match in that Optus, and now the change
Optus Stadium.
Yes, we have played one T20 match. The square boundaries are too big and the straight boundaries. It's an oval shaped ground. So I still remember that from that T20 match. For me, it's always the conditions, Sabir bhai. It's always the conditions. And Pat Cummins taking the picture of that final pitch one day before the pitch, we know it's always the condition that creates the final 11. I talk about the four batsmen. That will be, of course, the first test, even five, because Shan Masood isn't there. Keeper for me is always Rizwan. I don't want to see Sarfraz Ahmed with those cuts and pulls against the likes of Josh Hazlewood and Pat Cummins. Rizwan can handle those things. With the bowling, I still believe Shaheen Shah Afridi, along with most probably Wasim if the ball reverses. That's it. And the third option will be Fahim Ashraf. The way he bowled with the new ball in the recent one-day series, I still believe he should be there. For the fourth bowling option, the conditions. The conditions. So that is my playing 11, because I haven't got any choice.
Ali Mehdi.
No, I completely agree with him. I think that, the thing with Optus Stadium, it is slightly slower than WACA, and it will offer little turn. So I think we should still go with Abrar. You should not have, had it been the WACA, you should go with four pace bowlers, just completely go against them, or the Gabba. But when it comes to the Optus Stadium, it is slightly slower. So the same team with which Kashif Bhai mentioned, but I would still play Abrar on this wicket. The reason is because you will get some turn, on the third and fourth and fifth day. And other than that, the batting, I would still go ahead with the Abdullah Shafiq and then Imam, because look, at the end of the day, Imam's been playing consistently. And number three, Shan Masood, and then the batting we know as expected. I'm expecting a big series from South Shakil. I think he's going to have a big series. I think he's been brilliant in the Test format, and I hope that he can continue that form which he had in Sri Lanka, being the man of the series down under in Australia.
Yes, one change. I still don't believe Agha Salman. Yes, I still don't believe Agha Salman can fix into that final.
No, he can't.
Because
even Kashif, you mentioned the other day Abrar's record as well. You need to gauge that very scientifically, I think, instead of just throwing him there and expecting him to do what Nathan Lyon was doing for Australia.
I wanted Abrar to play the MCG and the Sydney Test, because with Abrar, bowling those deliveries with the fingers. It's just not easy because you have to bowl 40 or 50 overs in a test match in
Yeah,
Australia,
absolutely.
and playing for 3 consecutive test matches in 3 weeks, those fingers can become sore. If that happens in the very first test matches, the Sydney test match, which is historically a turning track,
Yeah.
will lose Abrar in that test match. So I
Certainly.
wanted tactically Abrar to place the last 2 matches.
Absolutely. Kashif and Ali Mehdi, thank you very much for joining us. That, of course, wraps up Sports Extra. From me and the entire team, it's goodbye for now.